Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 12th episode of our exclusive interview podcast series with Mickey Fulp, the Mercenary Geologist, and joined by Paul Harris again today. He's traveling. He's always on the road. Today we caught him at the airport in Bogota. So hello, Paul. Hello, Mickey. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Guy.
Hi, guys.
Good to see you.
Now, we got a short agenda laid out today. We're briefly going to discuss the uptick in the markets. Of course, gold price played a big role in that, and we're going to talk about the base metal prices and what was going on there. Mickey's got some insight for us. We're going to pick a number of the week, as always, and also going to discuss quickly maybe highlights of the week we've seen in terms of press releases, what's been coming out right after the summer, because we've seen a flurry of press releases on Tuesday, which was really interesting. So. As always, I'm going to kick us off here real quick and give a lay of the land and how the market's been developing at Oreninc, and I've discussed that with my data analyst just earlier. I gave Jared a call in Portland to see what was going on this week. And one thing he mentioned, and that was quite obvious also from last week's numbers, that we've seen a return of the bought deals. All summer long, we haven't seen a single bought deal. I think he mentioned it was around 12 weeks. It might have been 10 or 12. We haven't seen a single bought deal, and all of a sudden, Cisco started last week with roughly $80 million in bought deals. We've seen a number of them come back, and I think one of the highlights was yesterday's bought deal by Hut Bay Resources announcing a $242 million bought deal. So right at the peak of the base metal prices before another decline set in today. Overall, another mention, and what he mentioned as well, a lot of flow-through money is being raised. Canaccord has been quite active in that part. We've been monitoring that, and we're trying to figure out where the money is coming from. It seems like a new charity fund has popped up that is looking for that charitable flow-through. So we're monitoring that here on our side and see if we can get some more information on that. Other than that, I think that was a quick intro because we want to keep it a little shorter today because Mickey, Paul, and I will be sitting together roughly 10 days from now in Beaver Creek, taping a little longer session, hopefully, discussing what we've seen and, of course, developments in the market. And I want to hand over to you, Mickey, here to discuss today's and just the last few days decline in base metal prices. Are we seeing a speculative bubble burst?
Well, certainly the specs have gotten way ahead of real demand in the base metal complex. Today, for example, copper down 12%, zinc down, 12 cents, zinc down 7 cents, lead down 6 cents, aluminum 4 cents, and nickel, since the first of the week, down a whopping 35 cents. So let's look at copper. Since the move up in mid-July, when it started above 275, it popped to 283 in one day. It surged to 314 overnight, and it promptly lost 12 cents a day. So if you really look at it, we've been on this 3-week roll. When copper went from 288 to 314, that's a 9% gain. What you got to look at here, copper on an 8-week run, and this is really what happens when all the specs get on the same side of a trade. And in this instance, there was something like $22 billion of net longs in the copper's futures and options market. So from the way the markets work, it's exactly what we expected. Base metal fundamentals remain strong, but the speculative froth hopefully got calmed down today.
Interesting. Paul, what do you see, or what, Paul, in your opinion, what triggered the rally at first and now the momentum change there?
Well, I guess the precious metals fans, we've had gold break through 1,300 and continue up to 1,350. Silver went over $18 in the last couple of days, and only a few days after really going through $17. And so a lot of that has been, the US dollar has been weakening, and perhaps some political risk issues or country risk issues associated with North Korea and the increasingly aggressive language exchange between President Trump and the North Korean president. So some safe haven movements there, no doubt.
No, for sure. And I'm going to ask a controversial, or not a controversial question, but something that just came up in my head here. is Hurricane Irma going to have an impact on the base metal prices in terms of rebuilding?
Well, I certainly think that's positive. If people like to make a lot of moaning and groaning about the economic impact of this hurricane, but by the same token, it's going to result in the U.S. Creating some more electronic money, and a lot of that goes to places like the Home Depots of the world, and certainly copper demand in the U.S. is going to increase with the rebuild that has to come. Concerning oil prices, most of the refineries in the Gulf Coast are now coming back online, but you're still looking at tremendously increasing gasoline prices. So it's the same old thing. The commodities markets are controlled by speculators, and when they see an opportunity to go long or short on a no-brainer trade, they're going to do that. So from the point of view of the hurricanes, first Harvey and now Irma coming, I think that's overall probably a net zero, a zero-sum game for the U.S. economy.
Yeah, I think the repair bill for Harvey is being estimated at, 150 billion. And a lot of people think Irma will be worse. I think the president's disaster relief spokesman said yesterday that, Hurricane Irma is bigger than the state of Florida. It's going to be massive, and that's expected to hit this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, and they really don't know where it's going to hit. I saw last night they have a 90-degree swath that it could go through. So until these hurricanes get to where they're going to go and wash themselves out, the weatherman doesn't really know. They can do best guess commuter models, but a 90-mile swath covers the width of the state of Florida. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah, apparently they're using two different methods. There's a European method, and that the National Hurricane Center uses as well.
Well, pardon me, but what do the Europeans know about hurricanes?
That's what I thought when I read the article, actually. That's the first thought that popped in my head. So, how can we develop a method for calculating that? But I'm just touching on the oil price again. I'm just confused that we're dropping 3.4% today on the WTI price. It's interesting.
Yeah, I really don't know. It's going to be about another hour before I get my oilprice.com summary of the last 3 days in oil markets. It's going to be interesting to know what that is all about. One thing I do know, Kai and Paul, is that the let me put it differently, the Brent to WT ratio, the arbitrage, is something around 10 or 11% right now, which is extremely high. And so it looks to me like WTI is a little depressed more than it should be. And that's the way markets work. They swing too far up and swing too far down.
Yeah, good point. And something like the way markets work, it's really interesting. On Tuesday, we saw a lot of companies come out with press releases the day after Labor Day. And just looking at the junior mining market, the way markets work, I was really it was really interesting to see, like on Thursday, Friday, the week before, we didn't see any press releases with any material news, and all of a sudden everybody was there on Tuesday. Mickey, Paul, did you see anything of interest that came out right after the summer that we can quickly touch on?
I think an interesting news release, I think it was today, Franco-Nevada's done a deal with First Quantum for the precious metals at the Cobre Panama mine. It's one I visited about a month ago, so it's good to see that they got that financing sorted out. And it looks like being a very good deal for Franco-Nevada. There's not too many big deals left.
Yeah, well, I guess my comment on that is who's competing for dumber, and dumbest? That mine, in my opinion, is subeconomic, will never be developed, certainly in my lifetime. And another one that amazed me this past week was the purchase of the Santa Gertrudis project by Agnico Eagle for $80 million from Gold Resources. And, I have a history at Santa Gertrudis through a company that we sold, Animus Resources, a company of which I was a seed stock shareholder, sold that project to Gold. And there's very few ounces, in my opinion, that are mineable there. The problem being that oxide ore is intimately interlayered with sulfide ore, refractory ore.
You know what the kicker of that press release was for me? The 2% royalty Gold got to keep. So
I don't know if that's worth anything, though.
I just thought that was interesting because if they take it anywhere, they still have to have that 2% royalty on it. So that was the kicker for me in that.
Maybe they can sell that to Franco-Nevada, huh?
Maybe. No, it's just interesting because McEwen bought Black Fox for 35, and they bought Santa Gertrudis for 80, right? So that's just
and I've forgotten what Gold gave Animus for it, but
I think it was 12 or 15. So.
Yeah, and I was a shareholder, and I got cash and shares of Gold, and it's my general comment. It's tough to be a miner, and it's especially tough to be a small miner in this business, which is what Gold is. But to their credit, they've paid off all their debt now and got a lot of cash. I think their debt was something like $46 million, and they're getting $80 million. So pretty good deal for them.
Yeah, 46 Canadian, and they got 80 US. So.
Oh, okay. That passed me by. So I'm probably a happier Gold shareholder this week than I was last week.
Nice. Wrapping up our podcast here today, our interview series. We always end up with our number of the week. And Paul, why don't you start us off?
Okay, I'm gonna be a bit selfish this week. I'm gonna go for 80. And 80 is the number of pages that will be in the Mining Journal Precious Metals issue that will be at the Precious Metals Summit and the Denver Gold Forum the next couple of weeks. And I've written, personally, a huge number of those. So, I'm going to blow my own trumpet a little bit there. Sorry about that.
No worries. Well deserved. Mickey, what's your number?
143. As in millions, and that's the number of Americans that had their identities stolen over the last couple of months in the Equitas hack, which is one of the three major credit bureaus in the U.S. And interestingly enough, after the hack was discovered on July 29th, three insiders of the company, including the CEO and the CFO, sold $1.8 million in shares and are claiming they did not know, and it is not insider trading.
Interesting. The market. No. My number is slightly off topic, but it's 1. It's week 1 of the new football season.
Righto.
I've been waiting all summer for that, so I'm excited. The market seems to be excited.
Let me give you an addendum to that number, Kate. I was reading this morning about that, and they estimate that NFL is going to earn $14 billion this year.
That's insane. If it wasn't as much fun, if people, it's a very controversial topic, I think, especially here in Europe, people don't understand it. But especially when you play fantasy football, it's just fun. Something that connects you with your friends. It's just entertaining. So I'm going to end on that positive note. I think everybody's excited for the fall, being it football or the junior mining markets. We're going to see each other in Beaver Creek in just a little over a week, in 10 days' time. Mickey, Paul, safe travels. I'll see you there. And thanks
very much, Kai.
I will see you at the Bronco game.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that there. I'm looking forward to that way more than the Precious Metals Summit.
Oh, man.
I'll see you in Colorado, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.